Well, it's one of the most infamous interviews in TV history. Prince Andrew sit down with BBC journalist Emily Maitlis over his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, now that interview has been given the drama treatment, with Michael Sheen stepping into the Prince's shoes. In an exclusive interview, DC spoke with Michael and co-star Ruth Wilson to hear all about a very royal scandal.
Emily Maitlis, BBC.
You have a bit of a reputation.
Well, for you, I'll try and behave.
I'm sure you will.
Michael, we're seeing Prince Andrew here, and what we can only imagine is going on behind the scenes of that now infamous interview. Tell us about that.
The heart of it for me was the interview. That's what, I watched it hundreds and hundreds of times, and not just for trying to recreate the interview, but like a sort of detective mystery, trying to find clues as to what you can extrapolate from that into the rest of the piece. What I knew was absolutely true was what happened in that interview. As gobsmacking and as mysterious as some of it seemed to be, the more I watched that, the more I listened to it, the more I lived with it, the more it started to kind of reveal. So that was the kind of heart of it for me.
People forget, I've been to war. I'm going to blow this out the water.
Ruth, you're playing Emily Maitlis, the journalist in question in all of this, the heart of the whole interview. She's also the EP on the show, and she's a very distinct voice and tone. Tell me about getting that right, knowing that she's in the room with you.
Terrifying. But she was amazing because she was incredibly generous with her time, and not just, I've never played a public figure before, so there's a technical exercise in that of trying to master those things that are very specific to her. She was so useful in everything else, really, about the context, the subtext of the material, the interview itself, what was going on for her. She was sometimes very diplomatic with her information because, as journalists are taught to be, they're taught to be sort of neutral. So, if I asked her opinion about things, she'd always slightly sit on the fence about it. I went to watch her at work. I interviewed her myself, which was terrifying. So I loved seeing sort of the chaos and the adrenaline junkie side of being a journalist.
Do you regret any of your behavior or your friendship with Epstein?
Now, still not.
It is extraordinary to see how you recreated the interview. Tell me about the attention to detail and the time that took.
The sheer act of learning it, of learning the actual dialogue, because it's very rare that you speak like people actually speak in real life. On the whole, writers are very good at cleaning it up. When you actually say what people say, you start sentences, you abandon them, you say the wrong words, you jump across to something else. It's all over the place. So learning it was actually one of the most revealing things for me. When I actually had to sit down and learn the little weird things that he says, I realized, oh, he was about to say this, and then he chose not to say that. He stopped himself, and then he said this instead. It starts to tell you much more about the psyche and the state of mind that he was in. But it yielded, I think, really interesting results.
I was trying not to sound guilty.
Jeffrey's team are preparing proceedings against you.
Ruth, the repercussions for Prince Andrew are still ongoing. His relationship with his brother, now the king, is in absolute tatters. Did Emily give you a clue about how she feels about it?
The way the show depicts it a bit is this kind of chase. The adrenaline chase of getting that interview. It's the interview of her career, and then it's the aftermath and the reflective kind of moment. And actually talking to Emily, there is a sense, like she sort of said, there's still not being a criminal case. He's guilty or innocent, that's still up for grabs. We still don't know. So in her mind, there is that constant question of this man, his life might have been ruined, but also he may well have been let free. He's still not being held responsible. So it's still what really has changed, if anything.
It was the entitlement. He just couldn't help himself.
What do I do? You do believe me, don't you?
Ooh, looks good. A very royal scandal premieres this Thursday exclusively on Prime Video.
How does it end?
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my God, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?